my channel. I'm Neva, this is Dream Neva, and today we're going to attempt to refilm this for like the third time. So, a couple of months ago, I did a new installment. I believe it was in I think it was in August. I spun for a new installment of reading my friend's favorite books, and we got Kelsey. So, I did end up reading 2 out of I think she gave me 6 books. And we're going to talk about those 2 books, and then we're going to talk about the next book that I'm going to be reading. And the reason for that is because I lost the footage for the first 2 books. So I'm just going to give little recaps, what I gave everything, and then we're going to move on to the next book that I'm choosing to pick up. So I have read None of This Is True by, who's that by? Lisa Jewell, I believe, and Part of Your World by Abby Jimenez. I gave both of these books 5 stars. I'm actually leaning for Part of Your World more toward a 6-star the longer that I think about it, so it's possible that by the end of this vlog I will have changed my rating for that one. But None of This Is True is a thriller about 2 women that are birthday twins. One of them, her name is Alex. I cannot remember the other lady's name, but the one main character, her name is Alex. She is a successful podcaster and a mom, and then the other main female character is a mom and a wife who feels that she really has nothing good in her life, and basically the whole book is trying to figure out who is telling the truth and who is lying as you go through everything as it goes. Also, I apologize for any background noise that you can hear. It just is what it is. So that is that book, and I gave it 5 stars. I did not listen to the audiobook. I may at some point go back and reread it with the audiobook because I've heard that the audiobook is really good with like the podcast elements and stuff like that. I didn't realize there were podcasts and Netflix elements in this book, since the challenge for this book, for this vlog, is also, I didn't say this, but is to not read the backs of the books before I read them. So I didn't realize that there was that in it, and I didn't ask Kelsey anything about any of the books that she picked. I just went with what she gave me. The next book that I did read and finish is Part of Your World by Abby Jimenez. This is part of a bigger connected world, I believe. I think there's like 3 or 4 books in this series, but Part of Your World is the first one, and we are following 2 characters whose names I can't remember because I don't remember any names, but we're following our 2 characters, and they meet. Their meet cute is because her car breaks down and he comes and helps her. So this turns into a little liaison. He is quite a bit younger than she is, so it's a reverse age gap. There's a baby goat. It's a great time. I don't really know how to talk about this book without spoiling it, and I absolutely loved it. So I gave that one 5 stars, but again, it could be a 6. I'm really sitting with it because I think it might be a 6-star. But the next book that I'm going to pick up, I do own physically, so at some point I'll show it to you, but I don't have it in the kitchen right now because I am cooking dinner. I'm about to shred up some chicken. Is Where Sleeping Girls Lie. This is by the same author as Ace of Spades. I can never remember how to say her name, so I'm not going to try to say it since I don't have the book sitting in front of me. But I have this book in all 3 formats, so I probably will be jumping between the ebook and the audiobook. I do have the physical book as well, so I'll be able to like hold it up for y'all to see. Not in this clip, but in subsequent clips. So I'm going to start that book. This is a thriller. I don't really know anything about this book other than what I heard about it when it first came out. I think that there may be a school setting for this one. Yeah, I think this may take place in a school. Ace of Spades did, but I think this one takes place like at an all-girls school or something. So yeah, that's all I know. So I'm going to start it, and then I'll come back and I'll check in and let you know what it's about or what I've gathered, but I'm not going to read like the synopsis or anything because that's part of the challenge, is to go in blind, or as blind as possible. So that's what I'm going to start, and I will come check in when I've read a couple of chapters, or at least have some kind of a synopsis, or I get 50%, whichever comes first. If I can't figure out what it's about before we hit 50%, that's going to be a little bit of a problem, but yes, once I figure out what it's about, I will come back and check it. Hello, friends. So I'm here to do a little check-in for this vlog. I don't actually know if I did an initial clip for this book or not, but if I'm basically what I'm going to do is I'm just going to recap what I've read of this book, and if it's a repeat, then I'll deal with it in editing. But I have started Where Sleeping Girls Lie. I've read 2 other books for this vlog already, so this is the 3rd book that I'm reading, and this is a YA thriller mystery by the same author who wrote Ace of Spades. So at this point I'm about 50% through this book. I am on part 2, so here we are bookmark wise, like I'm about 50% through. I'm really enjoying this book so far. It does take some brain power on my end because we are following like a mystery as it unfolds, but I am really loving this book. So I am listening to this as an audiobook, but I do have the physical book. I do have an ebook copy available to me as well. So I did read a little bit of this as an ebook, but I'm really enjoying the audio. Like, I'm really enjoying the audio. So this book takes place at a school. So I'm actually reading this for 2 different vlogs, which is cool, I guess. Yeah, this book takes place in a school setting. This is at a predominantly white institution, or a PWI, which a lot, or at least out of the books that this author has written, which is this one, Ace of Spades, that is a recurring theme. It is a black student going to a PWI, and our main character, Shadow Hussein, her friend slash roommate has disappeared, and no one knows what's happened to her. And so Shadow and Basil, who is friends with this girl that disappeared before Shadow ever came to the school, they are trying to find out what happened to her. So that is what we are doing here. I don't really know how else to talk about this book without spoilers, and I'm really trying to keep these vlogs spoiler free. So that is what we're doing. So I have about 5 hours, it says 4 hours 53 minutes left of the audiobook at the speed that I listened to it at. So I'm going to try to finish this in the next couple of days, like by the end of the weekend, so that we can move on to the next book that needs to be read, because I do have 3 more books after this one that need to be read. I have 2 romances and another thriller, so the next book in the lineup will be a romance, but I'm not going to tell you what that is yet. So by the time you watch this, you'll know. But so that is what we're reading. That is what we're doing. I'm gonna go read some more of this book. I'm hoping to get to part 3 tonight, to be honest, which is like just a little over 100 pages, I think. Yeah, about 111 pages. So we're gonna see if I can do that and get to part 3 tonight. And then I will come check in once I've hit part 3. Hello friends, welcome back to this vlog. So, I'm on part 3 of Where Sleeping Girls Lie. And unless something crazy happens at the end of this book, like crazy bad, I'm going to give this book 5 stars. It's really, really good. I'm absolutely loving this book. I will say that it's a different vibe than Ace of Spades, but I feel like it's still the same. Okay, it's a different concept than Ace of Spades, but I feel like it's still the same vibe. That's what I'm trying to say. So, absolutely loving this. Yeah, Kelsey so far has it's been 3 for 3. Like, all 3 have been 5 or 6 stars. I gave Part of Your World 6 stars. So, absolutely love this book. I'm really glad that I bought this during Indie Bookstore Day, because if I hadn't, I'd be buying it now. But absolutely wonderful. So I'm on the last part, which is part 3. So I'm on page 275, and there's a total of 398 pages. So I have about 123 pages left. So I will be finishing this today, and then we're going to move on to the next book in our arsenal, and I can't wait. But I wanted to come in and do a check-in now that I'm on part 3. I only have this much of the book left, so I'm gonna go finish this up. The audio says I have 2 hours and 35 minutes left, so I'm gonna finish this today. Yeah, and then I will finish, and then I will come back and give my final thoughts on Where Sleeping Girls Lie. Hello friends, I'm here to update this vlog. So I have finished Where Sleeping Girls Lie. I'm giving it 5 stars. I absolutely love this book. It definitely had like Ace of Spades vibes, but it was a different kind of story. So I really loved this book. I don't really know how to talk about any of these books without spoiling them, because this is definitely a book that it's a thriller, so like you definitely have to read it. It is marketed to YA, but I didn't find it to be super YA. If I'm gonna be honest, like, it didn't read super YA, other than the fact that they're all like in high school. But yeah, I really enjoyed this, and 5 stars. So I'm going to be starting Love in Other Words by Christina Lauren. This one I do have audio for. I have audio on Libro FM, and then I also have the ebook through Kindle. So that's what we're going to be reading next, and I'm going to color on my iPad while I listen. But I will say that I may switch between the two, but it's a little bit harder because of having the audio through Libro, because it doesn't sync everything like it does on my Kindle. And it's not a super long audiobook. It's only around 8 hours. So I should be able to finish it like today. Like, I should be able to listen to the whole thing. So we'll see what happens with that. But I'm gonna listen to Love in Other Words. I've been told by Kelsey that if I don't like Love in Other Words, then I'm canceled. So I have heard about this book because it's been around for a while. So I have heard about this book, but I don't really know very much about it. I know that there is a trigger warning that I was given by Brittany. That is it's a very like personal trigger warning to me. Most people wouldn't be triggered by it. So I'm going in knowing that, and yeah, I'll come back when I hit 50%, and then I'll come back again when I've finished the book. Okay, so I am 54% through this book, and I am really enjoying it. I will say it's heavier than I thought it would be. Even with being given the trigger warning by Brittany that I don't know, this book is heavier than I thought. So we're following a then now timeline. So we get some chapters from when the two main characters are like 16, or maybe younger than that, but I think they're between the ages of like 12 and 16. And then we're getting a timeline where they are adults. I believe they're like 23. So yeah, we're getting a then now timeline, which I love. And the then timeline takes place during summers, and the now timeline takes place just during like the regular year. So basically, our main female character, she visits so Macy and her dad after her mom's passing, they buy like a vacation home that's like 70 miles from where they actually live, and she meets Elliot there, and Elliot is basically Macy's like first everything, right? So a decade later, they are back in the same place. Macy sees Elliot in a coffee shop, and then he also sees her, and everything ensues. So Macy at this point is engaged. Elliot was in a relationship but broke up with his girlfriend when he saw Macy again. So it's just kind of the unraveling of that, and I think at the end they'll probably be together because it's a love story. So that's where we're at. So I will be back when I'm done with this. I don't have very much longer. Got about 2 hours and 15 minutes at the speed that I listen. So I'm gonna finish this, and then I'll be back to check in and let you know what I'm reading next. I have finished Love in Other Words. First of all, I'm broken inside, I just want to say. Second of all, this is me like after calming down after listening to this book. I'm giving it 6 stars. But I'm dead inside. So thank you, Kelsey, for that. We have 2 more books for this vlog. So the next one that I'm going to be picking up is I can't remember what it's called. It's something River. Long Bright River. So I'm going to be reading Long Bright River. I believe that this is a thriller, I think. I don't know anything about this book at all. I don't even know this author, which is Liz Moore. So I do have it from the library. I have the ebook. I'm going to see if I can find the audio, but my library had like a super long hold on it. So if I can't get the audiobook, I'll be reading the ebook, which means this one might take me a few more days. But we're going to start that, and then I'll be back. Friends, I've decided to come back because I didn't have a lot of coherent thought a little while ago when I said that I had finished Love in Other Words, and I've kind of sat with it for a minute. I want to come back and I want to talk about the things about this book that I really liked, anything I didn't like, whatever. It's a 6-star book for me. It was way heavier than I thought, even though I was given a warning of some content that's in it. Parental death being a strong theme in this book. It was heavier than I thought it would be. We got the happy ending that I was expecting at the end, but it happened differently than I thought. I have like 20 minutes left of this book or less, and we were just diving into like the heaviest part of the book, and I appreciate that it was written that way because we still got the happy for now, happily ever after ending. But because this is like a second chance, the fallout happens in the then timeline. So this book was written in a then now timeline, and the fallout that they have, that what would usually be like a 3rd act breakup, happens in the then timeline. So it didn't feel like a 3rd act breakup because we are watching our 2 characters mend their relationship. And because of that, I think it read more powerfully for me. I did cry. I did. And I'm really like processing this book because it was heavier than I thought it was going to be. But this is the second Christina Lauren book that I really loved. I also loved, or maybe the 3rd, because I've read In a Holidays, I believe that's Christina Lauren, and I've read The Unhoneymooners. In a Holidays, I think I gave 4 stars, and The Unhoneymooners I gave 5, but if I had been doing 6 stars at the time that I read it, it would have been a 6-star. There's only one other book, and I can't remember what it's called, something with playlist in it, and I didn't like that book, but I read that in like 2020 and I DNF'd it in 2020. So I want to now read all of their backlist because I love their books, at least the 3 that I've gotten all the way through. But this one was the heaviest one. Yeah, this one was the heaviest one. So I've not been canceled because I gave this book 6 stars. So when Kelsey sees this, and I'm not telling Kelsey what I gave this book before this vlog comes out, but this book broke me in the best way. Like I'm broken inside, which makes me worried because I have 2 more books. So I said I'm starting Long Bright River. I am going to be starting that one. I did find it on Hoopla, but it says I'm 7th in line on the hold list, so I'm not necessarily optimistic that I'm going to get the audio for that. So I'm going to start Long Bright River as an ebook, and if I get the hold, I get it, and if I don't, I don't. That's a thriller, I believe, so it should be easy enough to get through. But we have one more romance still in this vlog, and I purposely made it the last book that I read because I do have it on audio. But I also know that this book, that this last romance that I have will also break me in the best way. So yeah. I have no thoughts. I have so many thoughts and like none at all because I don't want to ruin the book for anybody either. Like I don't want to give any spoilers, so. But I wanted to come back and give some actual thoughts on this book. And not just like leave you with like what I said. But yeah, I really enjoyed this one. I really enjoyed this one. And I want to read the rest of Christina Lauren's backlist, so I will probably be doing that. But this one was heavy. This one was a heavy book for me. So yeah, so far we've had 2 6 stars and a 5 star. So the thriller, none of this is true, I gave it 5. Part of Your World, I gave 5. Oh, I'm sorry, we've had 4 books. And then, so we had 2 5 stars and 2 6 stars. And then, what's it called? Where Sleeping Girls Lie, I gave 5. And then this one, Love in Other Words, I gave 6. So, truly, I think that Kelsey and I have similar reading tastes when it comes to romance and thrillers, at least so far. So it'll be interesting to see what the last 2 hold. So I'm gonna go start Long Bright River. I do, like I said, I have it on Kindle through the library because I think, oh, actually, my library just let me know that they have audio. So I'm gonna start the audio for this. If I choose to pick this one up with Kindle, I will, but I'm actually reading another book for a readathon on my Kindle, so I'm trying not to do too many of these books as Kindle books at once. So I'm gonna go start Long Bright River on audio, and then I'll come check in when I'm done. Okay, goodbye. Hi friends, so I have an update. I started Long Bright River, and I am going to DNF this book. This is really the only book out of the 6 that I've been given where I just did not care from the beginning. I'm not sure if I'm like missing something or what. I am waiting for Kelsey to get back to me because if she can explain what's going on, I may come back to it. But for now, I'm going to DNF it until I talk to Kelsey. So there could be a change in this vlog, but I don't think so. So we're going to move forward. and I'm going to go ahead and start Magnolia Park's The Long Way Home. I will put a picture of the book here, the cover that I have and the cover that you would find traditionally published, because they're two different covers. I do own this book in ebook and audio, so I'm going to be starting the audiobook. I really do like the audios for this, because I don't own all of the Magnolia Parks books because I'm buying the original covers. I like them better. So I only own the first one in the original cover. Actually, I only own the first one in the new traditionally published cover as well, because I bought it for other people to be able to read. Like Ryan is going to read the first one. So I bought it that way because I don't want people to read my indie version. But I'm going to start Magnolia Park's A Long Way Home. I do know about this book because I've already read the first two books in this series. I'm not entirely sure what this one is going to encompass for us, but I know that we're still following Magnolia and BJ. This is their second book in the series. So the way the series works is Magnolia Parks is Magnolia and BJ's story. Then we jump over to Daisy Hates, where we are following Daisy, Julian, and Christian. Daisy and Julian are brother and sister, and Christian is Daisy's boyfriend, I guess. But he's part of Magnolia and BJ's group of friends. And then we jump back to Magnolia Park's A Long Way Home, where we are following BJ and Magnolia again. So I am going to go start this book. I did at one point read about 20%, but I am going to start it from the beginning just to refresh myself. And yeah, I will come back when I have an update. I don't know that I will read this entire book today. I might. I tend to get really sucked into Magnolia Parks once I start. So we'll see what happens. It does say that at 1x speed it is about 19 hours. This says I left off on chapter 16. We're definitely going to start at the beginning. So yeah, it's saying that at the speed I listen to it, it's about 9.5 hours long, almost 10 hours long. So I may not finish it today, but I will be finishing it in the next couple of days. So I'm going to go start this, and I will come back when I have another update. Hello friends. I am here to close out this vlog because I have finished Magnolia Park's The Long Way Home. And I'm going to give it 6 stars. I don't really know how to talk about this book because it is the third in a series. So I'm going to start by just talking about non-spoiler things, and then we will go, I will have like a little graphic on the screen, like right here, for when there's spoilers, so that if you are a person who's already read this book, you can listen to it. Otherwise you can skip over it, and I will try to remember to timestamp it down below, but otherwise you can just kind of skip ahead until the closing. So Magnolia Parks is I believe there's 5 books out so far in the series. So we have 3 books that follow Magnolia and BJ and 2 books that follow Daisy and Christian. And I have read Magnolia Parks, Daisy Hates, and Magnolia Parks A Long Way Home. So the book I just finished is Magnolia Park's A Long Way Home. So in Magnolia Parks and Daisy Hates, these 2 books run on the same exact timeline, but we are following Magnolia and BJ in Magnolia Parks, and then we're following Daisy, Julian, and Christian in Daisy Hates. So I'm not really going to talk about Daisy Hates because she's not a huge part of this book. Julian was, but Daisy was not. So in Magnolia Parks, we follow Magnolia and BJ, and they've been best friends since they were 6 and 4 years old, I believe. And as adults, I believe these books start when they are 20. Well, he's 22 and she's 20. And we follow them through their journey of like growing up together and everything like that. So their relationship is relatively toxic throughout most of the book. And at the end of Magnolia Parks, we find out that something terrible has happened that causes them to split apart, and Long Way Home picks up where Magnolia Parks leaves off. So I gave Magnolia Parks 6 stars. It got beat out by Divine Rivals for my best book of the year in 2023. I gave Daisy Hates 5 stars. It wasn't my favorite, but it was fine. I didn't really relate to Daisy, Christian, and Julian the way I did to Magnolia and BJ. Okay, so for editing me, this is where the spoilers are going to start. So in Magnolia Parks, at the end of Magnolia Parks, we find out that BJ cheated on Magnolia with her best friend. There's a lot of reasoning for this that's explained in The Long Way Home. BJ was violated when he was younger by an older person in his life, an older girl in his life, and this led to, he saw her at this party years after it had happened, and this led to him doing what he did to Magnolia. But it causes Magnolia to move out of London, and she ends up coming to America and moving to New York. So she is gone in New York for a long period of time, and I think over a year. And then she comes back for her father's wedding. So her father ends up marrying the, like, Magnolia and Bridget, her sister, their childhood nanny. He ends up marrying her. Like, they find out in Magnolia Parks that they've been having an affair. So Magnolia and Bridget find out in Magnolia Parks in the first book that Marcelli, the nanny, and Harvey, their dad, have been having an affair. So this is not like news to anybody at this point of the series, and so that's like the whole thing. So she comes back, then she gets offered a job if she stays in London, so she ends up moving back to London. However, BJ is now with a different girl. He is dating this girl. I can't remember what her name is. Yeah, I don't remember her name, and I don't care, to be honest. She wasn't really that significant to me. But he's dating her, and Magnolia thinks that since she's coming home that he will leave this girl, but he doesn't at first, and that really upsets Magnolia. So it's a whole thing with that, and it's the turbulence of BJ not breaking up with the girlfriend, and then him and Magnolia hook up at one point. Well, they have sex, confess their love to each other, and then he goes home and has sex with the girlfriend. It's like a whole thing. And we also see Magnolia as she's dating around. This is where the Julie and Magnolia timeline thing happens, and I didn't love it. I didn't really feel like it made a lot of sense. I mean, it made sense with the story, but I felt like it was kind of gross. Like, I just didn't like it. I don't like them as a couple. Julian's not really my favorite character. I liked him fine in Daisy Hates, but I didn't really love him in The Long Way Home. And then, I'm not going to spoil the end for you, but at the end, there is something really tragic that happens, and I'm just trying to process that ending, because I really can't believe that that's how this book ends. But I'm going to have to take a break from this series. So, in total, let us run through the books that I read for this vlog. I do not have all of the books to hold up. I don't have any of the books to hold up, if I'm being honest. They're all inside, and some of them I don't actually own. So, we had 6 books in total. So we had None of This Is True, which I gave 5 stars. We had Part of Your World, which I gave 6 stars. We had Where Sleeping Girls Lie, which I gave 5 stars. Love in Other Words, which I gave 6 stars. Long Bright River, which was our one and only DNF. I just didn't really care about this book. I don't really have a lot to even say about it, because I wasn't really sure what was going on. And then we had Magnolia Park's The Long Way Home, which I also gave 6 stars. So all in all, I think that this vlog was super successful. A lot of 5 and 6 stars, and then just 1 DNF. So thank you, Kelsey, for participating in this project. It was so fun, and it was fun reading all these books without necessarily knowing what they were about before going in. I feel like maybe if I had known what Long Bright River was about, maybe I would have understood it a little bit better, but I'm not sure that I would have cared, if I'm going to be honest. So it was super fun doing this, and yeah, so all my links as usual are down below. Patreon, wish lists, all of the things. Thank you so much for watching. If you've made it this far and you don't have anything to say or to add, go ahead and leave a rainbow emoji down in the comments, because I think that a rainbow will be significant in Magnolia and BJ's future. So go ahead and leave that in the comments. And yeah, let me know if you've read any of these books, if you want to read any of these books. And I will see y'all in the next one. Bye, friends.